I'm James Swanwick. Welcome to another episode. Today we're talking to 66-year-old Dick Ingram, who is a private equity investment consultant who lives on the seacoast of New Hampshire in the US. He's the former CEO of two large state-level public pension systems in Illinois and New Hampshire. He's been married for 43 years. Actually started dating his wife 50 years ago. And he is now successfully 90 days alcohol-free, which is amazing. Today we're going to be hearing from Dick about how his health transformed as a result of being alcohol-free, how he has gone from feeling like a 6 out of 10 professionally towards a 9 out of 10 professionally. He's just taken on this new role with the South African consultancy, and he's firing on all cylinders by all accounts. Really interesting, fun man. Was an incredibly powerful influence inside of our Project 90 experience, which helps high performers to get long-term power over their drinking habits. Came in, had prostate surgery at the end of June, wanted to focus on his health, joined us in our Project 90 experience, and now seemingly has no intention of drinking again, which is a remarkable turnaround, especially when he'd been drinking most of his life. It's just ingrained in our system, isn't it? Ingrained into our brains that it's just normal to have alcohol at the end of the day, have a couple drinks, have a bit more on weekends. And we talk a little bit about that in this conversation that you're about to listen to as well, about just where all of the advertising for alcohol is and how these things called smiling assassins, which is a term you'll learn about inside of this episode, where smiling assassins are coming at us from all angles, encouraging us to have a drink. If you would like to join us in Project 90, which is our 90-day experience for high performers, including entrepreneurs or top professionals, then you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/project90, where there's some more information. If you would like to book a no-obligation exploratory call with us to get your questions answered in regards to what it is and how long it goes for and what you'll get and all of that kind of good stuff, then you can book that call at alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. It is for people who would consider themselves high performers. A high performer can mean, someone like Dick, I guess, who's a consultant, could mean a realtor or a real estate investor, could mean a CEO or a top professional. Maybe you have a small business. Maybe you're in management level in your business. Consider yourself a leader. It's for people who like to perform at the top of their game, but because of alcohol at the moment, they're operating at about a 6 out of 10. You're not an alcoholic, but you do know that your drinking is holding you back and you feel ready to make a change. So if you feel ready and you're ready to upgrade your software or reboot your life or give it a kickstart and draw a line in the sand and say, okay, I'm ready to take myself to the next level, say no to alcohol and yes to the next phase of life, then I invite you to join us in our Project 90 experience. And Dick, who you're just about to hear from, shares a little bit about his experience, so you can hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak, from someone who's successfully completed 90 days as to what their experience was like. I think that's it. Shall we get into this conversation with Dick now? Let's do it. Here he is, Dick Ingram, 66, from New Hampshire, celebrating 90 days alcohol-free. Here we go. Dick, it sounds like having prostate surgery at the end of June was one of your motivating factors for going alcohol-free. Is that correct?
Yeah, it really was. I don't think I was somebody that had, real serious issues with alcohol in terms of, I didn't wake up in the morning wondering what I'd done the night before or anything like that. But I had this experience with the doctor where, taking care of my health, which I hadn't always done, you'd get the checkup. He says, listen, you have an enlarged prostate, which isn't unusual for a guy your age. But what he said to me was, you're young, you're healthy. This isn't giving you problems now, but it will. So why don't we take care of it? And I said, okay, let's do it. So I came through that surgery really well. And it just made me stop and think, if I'm fixing this, why don't I fix everything else? Why don't I do everything I can to be as healthy as I can? I mean, I'm 65 years old, but or 66 now, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be able to do the things that I could do when I was 19, but I can certainly be healthier than I was at 19. So that was a big part of what got me going on this.
Surgery went well?
It went lickety split. Yeah, I was really lucky. The folks that I deal with they're the Dalai Lama of urology, man. They just did great work, and no complications, no nothing. I later, in the halfway through Project 90, I ended up having a second surgery on a foot. I actually broke my right foot, it turned out, back in February, and I just sort of have been limping around on it. So I got that dealt with now. I'm still in the walk around boot, but I'm mobile again. So just getting all of the, taking care of all these things that were in the way of me being as active and as healthy as I really should be and want to be. This Project 90 has been a big part of it.
Yeah, amazing. Hey, Dick, I'm just going to ask you, just watch your hands there, because I think it's making a little bit of noise there. Thank you. Now, I understand you've been married for 43 years. Is that right? Tell us about your marriage and your wife and how you met. Tell us about that.
We met the first day of freshman year. Well, we didn't meet. Went to a regional high school, and me and another guy from my middle school were sitting next to each other in our freshman homeroom. And this woman walked in, walked in, and, we sort of looked at each other and said, and I said, she's the one I'm going to marry. I literally said that. And he was like, no, I'm going to marry her. And it took a little while for, her to come around to the concept, but we started dating when we were sophomores in high school. And, the story's sort of, run on since. We have 2 grown children, two grown sons, 3 grandsons. We're just, really lucky. We've had a great family, a great story.
Incredible. What did your old roommate or dorm mate or whatever you call him, what did he say after you ended up snagging her?
Well, I was the lucky one. I was not gonna let her get away.
So. Good on you. Yeah, I don't suppose you're still in contact with him all those years later, are you?
No. But we do. It's interesting. We do have a couple of friends that we've known since almost grade school that are, really an important part of our lives in addition to, our family. I've been lucky. I've been very close to my wife's family all along. Both of her parents are passed now, but I had a great relationship with both of them, and I was really lucky for that. And my sister-in-law and brother-in-law the same way. Their family is as much my family as my own family was growing up.
Got it. Now, you're in private equity investment. Is that correct? You're a private equity investment consultant for a South African consultancy. So tell us a little bit about that, and maybe tell us a little bit about how your drinking habits, or what your drinking habits were, and how that maybe was affecting you professionally.
I mean, it really, up until, the South African thing is fairly recent. Prior to that, I was the CEO of 2 different state pension funds here in the U.S. And with one of them, I had the opportunity to travel to Africa under the sponsorship of the U.S. government and to see what the opportunities, were there. And that's what made the initial connection to Africa. But that CEO job was a very high stress, very political, job. And I live in New Hampshire, and I commuted to Illinois to do the work and came back every week. So, Friday night, we developed a routine, which we continue to this day. Friday night at the same restaurant with the same server. And, and the decompression uh, could get to the point of where I needed Saturday and Sunday to recover in time to go back to work. So, uh, I was aware that I was just wasting time. And as this opportunity to do this work in Africa came up, it's something that's really important to me. And that was sort of the second motivation for getting into Project 90. I didn't want to leave anything on the table. I didn't want to waste a minute. I didn't want to look back 2 or 5 or 10 years from now and say, "Oh, I wish I could have done X, Y, Z." I wanted to be fully there, fully committed. And the line that you use about, when you're using alcohol, you're at best a 6 out of 10, and you really want to be a 9 or a 10, really resonated with me because I felt that that's where I was. I was keeping myself 6, maybe 7 on a good day, but if I could really clear the decks, that 9 out of 10, can be there, and that's what I've been experiencing these last 3 months in Project 90, and with the work that I'm doing. Um, I've moved from being a part-time consultant to their first employee in the U.S., and a significant amount of responsibility, and it feels great. I know uh, I know that I'm going to achieve what I want to achieve. One of the exercises we did on one of our group calls was envisioning 5 years hence, and sort of writing out what that story was. And I wrote that out, and after we did it, and the call ended, I came and I shared it with my wife, and what would have seemed audacious for me 4 months ago was like, yeah, right, that's what we're going to do. So it's great to feel that empowerment and that confidence. We joke about it on some of the calls about, clarity, is an overused word, in our lexicon, but it's really true. You wake up in the morning, you're clear headed, you get right at things, you know what you want to do, you don't hesitate about doing the hard thing first, and you just, it opens things up for you.
Mm. You're 66. How long were you drinking at, societally acceptable levels, I guess you say? Like,
it came and went in phases. Actually, I think, of course, when I was stupid like a lot of kids in college, right? And when we were even when we were first married, drinking wasn't a thing. It really, the Friday night dinner over the last 10 years became, the real weight on my back. And, that was the thing I needed to address. And, I can think of a lot of Saturday mornings over the last decade where I woke up and said, man, I can't do that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. I'd even try to fob it off on my wife and say, don't let me do that anymore. And she's like, yeah, right. That's not my responsibility. You gotta figure that out for yourself. So it really just, the last decade of operating in a fairly high level uh, position, in a fairly stressful position. I let that, uh, manage my stress, help me manage my stress. And all it did was keep me from being what I wanted to be.
mm. What was your drink of choice or drinks of choice?
It's funny, as I got older, I sort of lost my taste for beers. So, wine and, I probably bourbon, because that was classy, right? Us big time executives, bring that single malt scotch, please. Um, it became the term I use, talking about it in the groups, is it became a prop for me, because it helped me fill an image of what I thought I should, do or look like, or successful guys, drink expensive liquor, right? Um, but it could be red wine. Um, it was no one thing. I would mix it up.
And has your mind been rewired sufficiently now that you see all of those social constructs around alcohol in a much different light?
It has, and I was lucky. Day one for me in the program was a Friday. So, we went out to dinner on Friday, and I was ordering San Pellegrino, and a couple of friends of ours, neighbors from down the street, came into the same restaurant, sat 2 tables away. And when the check came, the server said, "Oh, your friends paid for a round of drinks." And I said, "Oh, that's nice." So I went over and said, "Hey, appreciate it." And the guy said, "Well, geez, it wasn't much. We're paying for San Pellegrino. It was no big deal, right?" um, but that just gave me the opportunity to say, "Yeah, you know what? I just decided to leave alcohol behind for the reasons that I've described to you here. I want to do everything I can to be as healthy as I can, and I don't want to miss a moment that would keep me from being a success in what I want to do in my business world." And he looked at me and said, "That's why I stopped drinking too." And we had never talked about it. I kind of noticed, when we were around, it's one of those things you don't really, pay much attention to at times, but it's like, I guess you haven't been drinking. So, and he said that clarity thing, he's an auctioneer. He says, "I got to be on, I can't screw up, a bidding process in an auction. I have to be on." And that just sort of gave me a running start, quite frankly. There's that, it was serendipitous, but that positive experience right out of the gate, has helped me. And, one of the habits that you suggest is, that daily 20, do the gratitudes first thing in the morning. And I've done that religiously, in my diary. And the first one is always, I woke up, some version of I woke up with a clear head. I feel good and ready to tackle the day. And so, that repetition of what's good and what you're grateful for really does, rewire you. And I noticed it in a subtle way at that Friday dinner. Again, we've had the same server for 10 years, and she's fantastic. Um, and in the past, when I've done like a 30-day no alcohol thing, I always felt like I had to explain it to her. I'll be back on day 31. Don't worry, kid. But this time, I never said a word about it. I just said, I'll have San Pellegrino, or I'll have soda and cranberry, or whatever it was. And after it was about 4 or 5 weeks in, it came. I didn't even have to ask anymore. She just said, "Do you want me to bring the Pellegrino?" And it was just like, there you go. So. The habit changes rub off on other people too. It's and they were obviously making a lot of money off me before. But we talk about, I tip her like, we had been drinking. So, she's happy, and it's one of those places where they don't rush you to get you out of your seat to turn the table over or anything. So, we make sure that they're taken care of, in that way. But it's been really nice just to see the way it naturally evolved into something you don't stress over anymore.
Yeah. And I recall you being on one of the group calls or on one of our Marco Polos, which is for those listening, Marco Polo, we have a private group where Project 90 members communicate with each other via a video selfie. And you were talking about, I think actually one of our other members was saying that he was going to watch a football game or 7 or 8 hours of football, and he was feeling a little bit stressed about trying to get through that time. And you offered some advice, which was how you now view alcohol in general in relation to gasoline. Would you elaborate on that or just explain that?
Sure. About 5 or 6 weeks into the program, I was reading a book written by a woman who she and her husband spent 6 or 9 months out of the year in Italy. They had bought a home in Ity, and of course, they're describing the artwork and the food and the wine and blah, 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 blah. So I'm thinking, it got me thinking, is maybe wine's okay, right? Is the alcohol in wine or spirits the same? What's the deal? So I look up, okay, what's ethanol? And I came across a web page. I think I have it bookmarked. I think it's chemicalsafetyfacts.org/ethanol. And, it basically went through, okay, ethanol, yeah, it's in spirits, but it's in gasoline and it's in solvents and in paint thinner and, all these other things. And it was like, okay, I think I'll go, so I shared that with the group. One of the members of our group actually, to help her get out of her triggers, would put a wine glass with gasoline in it, on her counter to break her habit. And I told the guy, I said, this is, I just, if I ever think I might want to have a drink, I just go back to that and say, man, why would I put gasoline? The alcohol, the ethanol content of bourbon is higher than the ethanol content in gasoline. That's an easy way for me to say, okay, I don't need to do this. If you need something that dramatic. And I think I also told him, think about why you're doing this. Think about, what's next, what's ahead. It's easy to get lost in the moment and, not think about that next morning when you're going to regret it.
Yeah. Any other little tricks or mind hacks that you incorporated to help you position alcohol in your mind a lot differently?
Well, it's having alternatives around, for sure. Make sure, you have a variety of different waters or soda waters or, a stack of limes in the fridge, so that you can, readily put your hand around something that's going to, give you something to do. I particularly liked one of the early videos that you sent around on the daily Project 90 videos was, create that ritual around that alternative and go to the refrigerator, take the glass out, put the ice in and hear the ice clink, the way it does, and have that lime and cut it and, all of that. And, that's really what you're doing with alcohol. You're creating a ritual. So just create an alternative ritual. Have it be, something fun and special. I'll buy coconut water from time to time, and have that be, the fancy drink because it tastes just a little bit different and it's good for you. It's great for you. But it's got this jug and you got to unopen, so it becomes just a fun and natural alternative to pouring alcohol.
I'm in Bali, Indonesia at the moment, returning to the US in a few weeks. But yesterday I was looking at property and land possibly to purchase here. And it was a really hot day. And, I was riding around on a motorcycle with some people who were showing me land and property, and I was sweating profusely. And then they finished giving me this tour, and I was right by the beach, a place called Kedunggu, which is on the west coast of Bali. Beautiful oceanfront views and etc. And I was like, wow, I really want a drink. Not an alcoholic drink, I should say, just to be clear. Really, really want a drink because I was hot and sweaty. And I went down to the ocean and there was a little, they call them a warung. Warung here. It's Wairung. It's kind of like a little local store. And there was a big sign that said cold coconuts. And I was like, beautiful. I cannot wait. So I went over there and I ordered a coconut. It was $2 to about $1.50 American. And this lovely woman, opened it up for me. It was beautifully and cold. And I sat down on this chair looking out over the ocean in Bali at it's probably 3:34 in the afternoon. And I had this delicious coconut and it was so refreshing. And I welcomed it so much because I was so hot and sweaty and I was kind of tired and mentally tired from looking at property and talking about deals and all that kind of stuff. And it was just so beautifully refreshing. And I thought to myself, so many people in the world are in the same situation as I am. Like they're thirsty, they want to relax, but they choose alcohol. When you can choose something like coconut water or soda water or Pellegrino or Spritzer or whatever. And I drank this thing in the shade, relaxed. The sweat kind of like fell off me a little bit, and I recovered. And then I got the spoon and I kind of scraped the inside of the coconut out, and had a little bit of the delicious, coconut. And in about 10 minutes, I'd gone from being quite hot, flustered, and dehydrated and thirsty to feeling just incredible with all the electrolytes that just went through my body from the coconut water. And I thought, this is living. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Why do you think people don't do this? Like, why do they turn to this attractively packaged poison instead, Dick?
It's just the cues that you have, around you, that you see every day, the billboards that you drive by, the ads on the, it's just, you're pummeled, you're bombarded with suggestions to, do this or that. And, they never talk about the morning after, the night before in those ads. They just talk about the night before. They don't talk about how you're going to wake up with your head in another place and your joints aching and, your vision blurry and, all of that. It's just this enormous, social conformity, pressure to, be the cool kids, or, drinking whatever. And it's just, it really, it's counterintuitive. It really is. But, once you walk away from it, if you just, the importance of, like I said earlier, just telling yourself first thing in the morning, every day, man, this is how I feel, and this feels great, and I don't want to lose this. And, it would be easy to lose it if you let yourself, succumb to the siren songs. That's why it was so neat, that story I told you about the server offering me the Pellegrino. You talk about the smiling assassins. She lost that persona. She's not my smiling assassin anymore. She's my Pellegrino friend. So it's nice to see those changes, in other people too.
Will you explain the smiling assassin concept for our listener?
It's you think you go into a restaurant, and before they even offer you the menu, can I get you started with a drink? Let's get together. Your friends, hey, let's get together and have a drink. You had a tough day. Let's have a drink. And a drink is alcohol. And so yeah, let's get together and have a drink. I'll have whatever, Pellegrino or whatever it is. But those, whether it's a friend or a server that's been serving you for 10 years, they're happy, they're smiling, and have some. It just makes it, you don't want to disappoint. There's a natural human instinct not to disappoint people. So, your first reaction is, oh, maybe I should just say yes, that'll make them happy. But you make them happy at your own expense.
Mm. Do you see other evidence now of the marketing that takes place to try to get people to drink attractively packaged poison? Are you starting to notice billboards or TV commercials, or just people in normal social settings? Are you kind of exploring or investigating that through a different lens now?
I'm ignoring it. I think more than anything, James. And I live in a state where the sales, the taxes on the sales of alcohol is a major source of our state revenue. So we have, the advertisements everywhere to, go to the state liquor commission stores, because that's the only place you can buy spirits. You can buy beer and wine in grocery stores and convenience stores. But if you want, you want the good stuff, you got to go to the state. So, we live on sin taxes here. We don't have an income tax. So I'm very aware of it all the time. It's and that's obviously a different, conversation for another day. But um, I think uh, I spend more time in the water aisle now at the store, just looking to see. Let me try that dark cherry and pomegranate Pellegrino. See what that
Mm.
tastes. Um, and interesting, and maybe I view it as a positive sign. We've actually had some difficulty around here buying. The stores have been running a little low on Pellegrino, just the regular
Wow.
Pellegrino. So maybe that's, maybe people are hopping on that bandwagon instead of another one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Has anyone in your life, whether it be your wife or friend or associate, anyone said anything to you about this version of you, which is 90 days alcohol free?
yeah, my wife I'm much more relaxed. Um, I think I haven't, really talked about it with, friends. Friends. I did, told my kids this is what I was doing, and my oldest boy in particular is a health freak. He actually works for he designs running shoes, so health and activity for him is a big thing, and he's like, yeah, that's great. They're just very supportive. And I think they're anxious to see. I have been, I'll say I've been held back a little bit because of I broke my foot, so I haven't been able to be as active, as I want right now. But that'll be healed shortly, and everybody's really excited about Dad getting active again, and working out, and hitting the gym, and hiking, and Sue, my wife, is chomping at the bit. When you get out of that boot, we can start doing stuff. So, yeah, it's been very positive, and I think people that don't necessarily know me well can I know they see a more serene version of me, um, the real me. Um, I obviously still have, in some ways, I have a more pressure packed job than I had before because success on a commercial enterprise is sort of riding on me here. But I'm approaching that with a much different mindset. And, I think the folks that I'm working with are responding to that very well. And it's great to feel.
Mm. Tell our listener, if you will, a little bit about the type of folks that you were interacting with inside of Project 90, maybe what the experience is. There's probably someone listening who's like, what is this thing anyway? I've heard you mention it, James. I've heard some other people mention it. But maybe, rather than me trying to explain it, who better than to explain it than someone who's actually gone through the process? So what was your experience? What is it? What was it
Well,
like?
for people that are listening, I mean, the core tool, if you will, are the Zoom calls that we have. There are six of them scheduled each week. You can, attend as many as you like. I've typically attended 3 a week, and there can be anywhere from 4 to 15 people on this Zoom call. They're facilitated and moderated by a coach, who's trained to do this work. And it's a fascinating experience because uh, the variety of backgrounds and experiences and personalities is people from all over the world, primarily from the United States, but the UK, Australia, uh, and we're all very different, but we're all coming to it with the same desire to put this alcohol behind us. And it's an experience where I've been really glad that I've done 3 meetings a week, to be quite honest. And there were days where, um, you think, oh, can I skip today? I did Monday. Can I skip Wednesday? And I always get on, and I always am rewarded by the little surprises that happen in these meetings, in the conversations that other people bring to the meeting. It triggers things in your memory of, oh yeah, that's, it's just it's great to see. And it's a very safe environment, where people can talk about the challenges they feel. And, like I say, we all come in from very different places with very different motivations, the same core motivation, but, different life circumstances and whatnot. And that ebb and flow in the group is really what makes it work. Because, like I say, the little surprises are the things that are really special. You don't go in with an expectation of today I'm going to accomplish this. You go in sort of with an open heart, and you get surprised in a great way without fail every time.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Was there one or two main breakthroughs or impacts that you feel that you've got out of your experience?
I think I don't know, you may remember this early on. I think it was about week 3. I did a Marco Polo, that selfie video that we share with each other. And I forget exactly what I was talking about, but I made the statement that, this was happening, but I know alcohol wasn't, behind, those issues. And, hit send, and, the video was out there. And literally like 2 hours later, I said, well, that was BS. And I did a follow-up Marco Polo, and I said, well, I don't know, James, Coach B, and Coach Sarah, you're probably all sitting there wondering, I wonder how long it's going to take Dick to realize that he was kidding himself there. So just, and aha moments about how, alcohol did affect what I was doing, or not doing, probably is a better way to put it. And understanding, exactly why, reminding myself why I wanted to change, and just, look ahead. And in life, you can get to a point and you can wonder how you get there, and you can wallow in the mire of, woe is me in this situation. And that just wastes time. And, you're much better off looking ahead and saying, okay, here I am. Where do I want to go? And that's what Project 90 does. It lets you say, okay, here I am. Where do I want to go? And what do I need to do to go there? And you have a lot of people cheering you on in the process.
What's your intention now, Dick? You're 90 days alcohol free. What's the intention from here?
Keep carrying on. I've learned in life that it's, dangerous to say, never, never absolute. But I feel like I have power over those decisions about alcohol now that I didn't have before, that I knew that I wanted. And, as I say, I'm focused on the future. I want to be the best grandfather to my 3 grandsons, and I want to, share life with them for a long time. And I want to be very successful in this enterprise that I've started on, working with the firm in South Africa. And I want to be the best, partner to my spouse, and, all of that. And I know the best way to do that is to keep alcohol out of my life. Because even if it's, one drink, it steals a day or an hour or whatever it steals. Time's the one thing you can't replace. So I feel really lucky to be 66 and feeling like I'm really like 26, quite frankly. I'm not looking at the end of the road or anything like that. It's like I got more stuff to do, and I know I can do it. That's a pretty cool feeling.
More stuff to do, and you can do it, and not just do it, but do it at a 9 out of 10, maybe. At
least, if not 10 out of 10.
Yeah. So do you feel like you got a 26-year-old's energy?
I really do. I really do. And I'm dealing, like I say, I have this broken foot. It's kept me inactive, for 6-7 weeks now. And I would have been hugely frustrated and not dealing with it well, but I've used this opportunity to really focus on the Project 90 as, the thing that I want to get right. And I do feel a different amount of energy. I wake up completely different. It's just, it's like a rebirth, it's a kickstart, it's the hard reboot of the computer. It's like, I got the iPhone 13 now, and I left the iPhone 5 way behind.
Well, Dick, thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I also want to make a point of saying thank you so much for being so incredibly supportive of other members inside of Project 90, because you were always there doing those selfie videos and encouraging people on the group calls and giving your insight and being very intentional with the advice or with just by sharing your experience with someone. And I know that a lot of members are giving me feedback that you are very much loved and very much appreciated. So I just want to say thank you for your amazing contribution to others inside of the program.
Oh, you're very welcome. And it's a privilege, and I look forward to continuing in some way with that. It's been an epically good run through Project 90, I can tell you that.
All right. Dick Ingram, 66, from New Hampshire. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you, sir.
Appreciate you back.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I want to load you up with some free stuff. If you look in the show description, there's a link there to get my guide, which is the Alcohol Freedom Formula Guide. And in that guide, I will walk you through the process and system for successfully reducing or quitting alcohol. It's the same system and process that I give to my clients inside of Project 90. And if you would like to get your hands on that guide, you can click the link in the description part of this episode, or you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. Likewise, if you would like to be considered for Project 90 to join our community and get some accountability, some coaching, and have fun, achieve some goals over at least 90 days with our help and support, then you're invited to schedule a complimentary coaching call with one of my coaches. You can do that by clicking the link in the show description or going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. Now, Project 90 is for over 30s only, and it's really for people who are ready to get long-term power over alcohol. You don't have to quit forever, but you will have to quit for at least 90 days with our support. Just a reminder, 95% of my content is free and plastered all over the internet. If you just Google James Swanwick and the word alcohol, you'll find that. For those of you who want additional support, if you want coaching, fun, accountability, if you realize that you can't do this on your own or you just plain don't want to, then I invite you to schedule that call and we can talk about if Project 90 is for you. If you would like to take some of my supplements, swanvitality.com is the website. I'll put a link in the show notes as well. I have a liver support product called Loving Liver, which I designed and specially formulated to help remove toxins from your liver after years of alcohol consumption. Again, there's a link in the show description. We've also got a green powder there, which turns into a green juice filled with amazing ingredients to support you and give you energy throughout the day. And there's also a magnesium product, which I take every night to help me prepare for sleep and to sleep through the night. So there's a few options there. Lastly, if this episode or the show in general has helped you or supported you in any way, I would so appreciate it if you would write a review. It really does help the show climb the rankings and expose the show to people who don't yet know about us. So if this show has benefited you in any way and you feel compelled to pay it forward, just writing a short little review, hopefully a nice one, will be so appreciated, and I will thank you immensely. Lastly, if you'd like to talk to me about anything at all, feel free to send me an email at james@alcoholfreelifestyle.com. I do read and respond to every email. And you can also follow me on Instagram at James Swanwick. Send me a message there. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. Catch you on the next one.